point of this film is that we are actually in search of the future. And my theory was that if we could go far enough into the past and become clear enough about our origins, how did we become human? What does it mean to be human? Are we actually human yet? Because I look at behavior and I wonder.
I'm saying, if we are not careful, our future is going to be a very dark future.
With the exhaustion of petroleum, without which we couldn't possibly manifest such numerous population growth on this planet. The destruction of the biosphere proceeding apace, the many problems, all on the increase for the human species on planet Earth. We can only have a future to the degree to which we can imagine a future that would be a sustainable and peaceful future. So since we haven't imagined that yet, we have to become able to imagine that. And this becoming would be the goal and the product of our world cultural evolution. So cultural evolution in connection with the creation of a future and the possibility of having a future, that is the overall question for humankind.
Look at the history of mankind. I don't see peace in the history of mankind to this hour. Is this the type of life we want to lead? To be always in conflict with each other?
I really hope and pray that people will awaken. And I feel like what we're doing with wars, you know, I feel that in time, with all of the pollution that we're having with the weapons and the mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction or whatever, we're killing ourselves.
Yeah, Earth will take care of itself. Mother Earth can take care of herself. It's human beings that's going to need help.
As a species, we're just really immature. And if you look at all the things that are going on in the world, they all could be translated to what teenagers do when they get in those awkward years where they hang out with certain cliques. They don't think of the long term. They think of going to the prom on Friday night, and that's about as far away as they think into the future.
You see, because man has been trying to create himself, to create a new world, to create a better world, a better life for himself. We are missing the ship, we are missing the boat, we are missing the plane. Somehow, yes, we are bringing good news, good inventions for the better, for all mankind, in the form of science, you name it, you know, to improve. But if we don't respect God's creation and we don't follow the law, the holy and sacred law of God, of love, the truth and peace, we are going to destroy ourselves.
The Aborigines don't think that the world should be destroyed and started again, because they remember how much work it took us to arrive at this place.
Where it's heading for is destroying himself, humanity. But it's destroying. It's not going to destroy the Mother Earth. The Earth will always be. So it's something that's created forever and ever and ever. It's a mankind that lives it. Look back to the past civilization. The Mayans, Aztec, Romans. Maybe they built a good something. What happened to them? They got too big, greedy, and power. They wanted power, so they destroyed themselves.
Our prophecy says that in 2012, there will be no potable water to drink because we're polluting so rapidly, so fast. And I think about that. I don't know about the Mayan calendar in a sense. I've heard of it, I've read it, but I don't have the knowledge to speak about it. However, I know that it's in the prophecy of the elders that speak, that if we don't get our senses straight immediately, we are going to suffer. And that is just, you know, we don't have to suffer. We have time. We have time. And I think with all the things that are happening with our fear, you know, the first sickness of humanity is fear.
In some people's prophecies, we're at the lowest of the low at this point. We're firmly lodged in will, materialism, and greed, stuck in our lower chakras. And from here, everything is uphill. Back to the memory, back to the knowledge of who we are as people and why we were placed here on the earth.
The Mayan calendar predicts that in the year 2012, there will be the end of life on this earth as we know it now.
And what people think that means is it's going to be the end of the world. And it's not. It's not the end of the Mayan calendar either. It's the end of a cycle of time that comes back around again and starts over. Now, when it comes back around, it's like a serpent. So the serpent never catches his tail, okay? He actually comes back around, and it's an evolutionary notch up. So it's a spiral. So what we're coming back around to feels very familiar on a very deep level inside of us, but we have learned so much in that 104,000-year cycle that now we're going to take it another notch up and become creators of a new reality.
Many people have been concentrating on the Mayan calendar, which we all know ends December the 21st, 2012. We've had the honor to work with the Mayans. And everybody in the world is concerned about what is going to happen, what kind of change is going to occur. Of course, everybody looks at it from the negative point of view, that terrible things are going to happen, the world's going to end and all of this stuff. But in working with the Maya and dealing with this question, they say something very simple. When it ends, all that's happening is the start of a new beginning.
Too many of us been asleep. Too much anesthesia of religiosity. Too much anesthesia of geopolitical drama for too long, several thousand years. Where we are going is a great awakening of the magic in the human heart.
Throughout all of history, humanity has wondered about the future. Since the beginning of time, we have consulted the oracles, the prophets, the astrologers, the witch doctors, the shamans, and the soothsayers. Here in the 21st century, is there anyone we can turn to for guidance? The Hopi Indians in the southwestern United States are thought to be the oldest inhabitants of North America. The Hopi have an ancient prophecy that sheds light on the choices that lie ahead of us.
This rock drawing shows part of the Hopi Prophecy. There are two paths. The first, with high technology, but separate from natural and spiritual law, leads to these jagged lines representing chaos. The lower path is one that remains in harmony with natural law. Here we see a line that represents a choice, like a bridge joining the paths. If we return to spiritual harmony and live from our hearts, we can experience a paradise in this world. If we continue only on the upper path, we will come to destruction.
Well, here we are in front of Prophecy Rock in Hopi Land, an ancient carving which shows the two potential paths of humanity. one which leads to destruction and one of which leads to peace and freedom in the future. Connie, what would you like to say?
Well, this prophecy is a very interesting one because it really explains our free will. Here we have the path of peace. They call it the Hopi way, but it's the path that's aligned with universal law. And here is the path that's separate from universal law that leads to destruction. The path of peace goes on around the rock, all the way around the rock, and here is a bridge where people can go from one path to the other. And I believe this is free will, that we have the free will to walk out of alignment with universal law, or we have the free will to walk this path of peace. And I think as soon as humanity comes to understand that it's really our choice that has led to the world that we live in, that we will in fact choose another way and stop blaming others for our condition.
So this connecting link here, if you were up here and you were on the path to destruction, there's the option to make the change.
Yeah.
And to transition into the Hopi way or the path of peace. And also, if you're on this path, you could fall from the path and go this way.
Right.
And this is free will.
You're right.
This is the essence of the free will of humanity.
Exactly. So I think it's very significant and very important, and once humanity truly understands that, and once they get the information about universal law, what universal law looks like, what the true nature of the universe is, which has to do with a conscious, loving, interconnected universe where humanity is so loved by all of creation that we are given everything we ask for, that it is in fact a loving universe that's responding to our requests, that creates our reality.
You might be wondering who this is on my computer here. It's Grandfather Api. He is a Kalahari bushman who lives right now in southern Africa, close to the borders of Namibia and Botswana.
Nou, ons wil graag kyk op daardie punt kom wat daar vir ons ooplig, op daar 'n lig is dat ons kan sien. Waartoe kan ons gaan? Om waar kan ons sit? En waar kan ons met open harte ook lekker sit en lekker gesels en ook lag. Want ons kan nie meer lag. Jy moet nou stilletjies lag. Dis nie meer lag.
Everything stems from fear. Anger, hatred, jealousy, self-doubt. All of the horrible sicknesses stem from fear. And if we can just allow ourselves to love, to walk through that fear and see that we're all one species, we're all related.
The context has shifted from a society of fear, mistrust, separation, to a context of compassion, trust, and connection, not only connection to each other, but connection to everything, connection to nature, connection to spirit.
Well, it is frightening, but you know what? Sometimes that's what it takes to wake people up. And when they get afraid enough, they start looking into their fear. What's causing this? Why am I so afraid? And when that fear comes to them, they can look at it and they can say, I can do something about this. I can stop this. I can make this well. I don't have to be afraid if I reach out and I start healing myself and I start opening up to other cultures and other languages. I can heal this. We can stop this mass destruction.
The World Wide Web made me optimistic again because this is basically the omega point of Teilhard de Chardin is the World Wide Web. This is his dream of neurogenesis, of the noosphere popping up at a certain instant of time. The omega point was therefore in 1994 when the World Wide Web got started. Here we see instantaneous communication between a large number of people on the planet, maybe as many as 30–40%, and growing. People are connected, that they can share their ideas instantly with anybody interested. The interconnectivity of the noosphere has gone through a quantum leap.
The kind of thinking, the kind of shift I'm talking about in growing up is literally strictly a change of how we think. Just that simple. It doesn't take any government money. It doesn't take any studies. It isn't going to require any budget from anybody. It's just start thinking differently. Thinking as if we are all connected. Thinking like a mature person would think. When you look at how a parent and a child are so different, the child thinks about that immediate gratification, that thing they want. They're hungry, they want food right now. They crave and they want it. They don't think about the consequences. The adult is there to teach them their long-term consequences. They got to get along with everybody, that kind of thing. Well, that's what we need to learn. So if we can get to that place of recognizing what our mystic friends and our philosophers and now even our scientists tell us, that we're all really connected. Even our science, which we hold so dear, is saying we're all connected. So if we can just start acting that way and thinking that way, instead of that we're all separate and we all have to get our hand on our thing and be disconnected, separate, that's just outmoded thinking. That's not the way the world works.
Many changes in the 1960s became fixtures of European and American society. And this was the result, apparently the result of conscious effort by a large number of people to affect the future by working on themselves and working together to create a society that was more harmonious, more loving, more in harmony with the environment and so on.
Jy moet weet, hierdie lewe wat hier is, jy sien 'n toekoms, maar jy sien ook 'n toekoms. As jy nie die toekoms vir jou as mens, wat God hier op aarde geskaap het, en wat jy weet wat jy kan doen vir God, en vir die mens wat omgee vir jou, en wat jy omgee vir hom, kan doen. En daai bietjie wat jy vir hom doen, daai bietjie wat hy vir jou doen, met dit saam waardeer, kan jy nog 'n toekoms sien. En dan gaan God vir jou, as jy aan God se hande vasleef, sy regterkant aan vasleef, sy voete vasleef, kan jy daai pad loop. Dat sal geweldig altyd rondom jou wees, maar jy is bewus wees daarvan. Maar vir wie kan jy?
If indeed there is a new consciousness unfolding on the planet, here in the early part of the 21st century, what does that mean? What could a new consciousness bring to life on this planet?
Evolution, the way you are expressing it, is that consciousness. It is a form of evolution taking place within us today. So to speak scientifically, it is that evolution, the change from the mind of human beings into the spiritual mind of a new being. So there is evolution, which is transformation again, spirituality.
Wake up and be aware. Do something. Change your way of life. Change your way of thinking. Change your way of feeling. Pretty soon all it's going to be is just that. Can't survive by yourself. You've got to survive with one another. In order to survive, you got to survive, take care of each other. Like that. So, but right now we are in transition. Some of the people are in transition into a higher level of understanding. Some are getting left behind, caught in that shift. I call it the shift of the worlds, shifting of the worlds, like that.
If we want a civilization with enduring values and a paradise on earth, then we have to think it up. We have to be culture creatives. As bleak as the current plateau is, where our culture seems to be a train on a train track to hell, there is a switching station, and we're at that switching station now, where a slight push on the lever can give us a different future.
But I believe that very soon, according to the Mayan calendar, 2012, coming up soon, there will be a shift into a higher consciousness level where we'll all honor each other, respect each other, and where there will be harmony. As Grandfather Martin Gasquisioma, the Hopi elder traditional, said, in the fifth world, everyone will get along fine and we'll all speak the same language, which I figure will probably be mind speak.
I think by 2012, it's going to be common knowledge that we're all on the same page and we can all operate as a one group mind.
It's not just changing the chemistry of our brain. I don't mean to say that it's just an attitude change. It's not quite that simple. Recognizing our interconnectedness and are interconnected to some higher force, higher calling, higher destiny, that is key to the shift in consciousness.
Sabremos por qué en todos los tiempos el hombre.
When we understand our origin, we know why throughout all of time mankind has always sought the reality, the origin, the extraterrestrials that they call gods, and look to the heavens. They know that we came from there and will return, and one day we will have the ability to leave as we are now beginning to go into space and visit the moon and the planets. Later, why not visit other dimensions? Not just measuring distances by time, but by dimensions. We are in the field of quantum mechanics. Science has discovered that quantum mechanics is a kind of law that we do not understand at the moment. Applying this law to the microcosm and relativity to the macrocosm, we have what they call the unified field theory. Unifying quantum mechanics and relativity, we can talk about a reality where we can travel in different dimensions that exist here and now. They coexist in different frequencies, different vibrational rates. This is each of the dimensions. In this dimension in which we live now, we are vibrating in a certain wavelength in which this whole universe vibrates. Our senses are only able to receive this frequency. But occasionally, some people can pass beyond this frequency and see what there is on the other side.